A dwarf sits in a chair in what appears to be a classroom in Erebor. He is surrounded by dwarf children. It is the dwarf Ori. He is reading the story of Durin and the history of Moria. In the heart of the Misty Mountains, there lies a place known as Lake Mirrormere. Legend speaks of Durin the First, the great ancestor of the dwarves, who came to stand beside the lake one fateful night. As he looked into the crystal-clear waters, he beheld not just his own reflection, but something far more wondrous. Mirroring the stars twinkling above, Durin saw 7 bright stars glowing in his reflection, almost resembling a crown. Durin gazed up to view the stars and saw several towering mountain peaks. Inspired by the sight, he decided to claim this land for the 7 dwarf kingdoms. Here would be the great kingdom of the dwarves, Khazad-dûm. And so, Durin rallied his kin from far and wide, united in their common purpose. Driven by the songs of their ancestors, the dwarves worked effortlessly. With the swing of their hammers and each stone laid in place, Khazad-dûm began to take shape. Carved deep into the heart of the mountains, Khazad-dûm roamed from the depths like a beacon of dwarven ingenuity and craftsmanship. As the days turned into years, the city continued to flourish. Mine shafts delved ever deeper into the earth, yielding precious ores and gems. Forges roared to life, crafting weapons, armor, and treasures untold. The waterworks of Khazad-dûm brought fresh water from the mountain springs to every corner of the city, including the great gardens that paved the upper levels of Khazad-dûm. And the halls of dwelling expanded, echoing with the sounds of life and laughter. Thus, with each passing day, the power and wealth of Khazad-dûm was much increased, for it was enriched by many people and much lore and craft, a testament to the indomitable spirit and boundless creativity of the dwarves. And though the challenges were many, they faced them together, forging a kingdom that would endure for ages to come. Ages pass in the halls of Khazad-dûm. Durin the Deathless, currently known as Durin III, meets with the elven smith Celebrimbor, the master craftsman of Eregion, and stood beside him is Annatar, the fair emissary and lord of gifts from the distant west. Durin, his eyes as ancient as the mountain themselves, yet still sharp with the wisdom as if the spirit of the lords before him live within, looks to Celebrimbor and welcomes him. Celebrimbor extends his hand, offering forth a gleaming object cradled within his palm. It was a ring, wrought with intricate designs and shimmered with an ethereal glow, a testament to the skill and artistry of Celebrimbor and Annatar. Forged with the utmost care and imbued with the essence of power, it is one of 7, a symbol of prosperity and greatness for the dwarves of Khazad-dûm. Annatar, his gaze serene yet full of mystery, stood beside Celebrimbor, his presence a subtle reminder of unforeseen forces at work, his eyes glowing a burning red as he watched the ring slide onto Durin's finger. With this ring, the realm will be strengthened, and the people shall prosper for ages uncounted. May this gift bind the elves and dwarves in friendship and cooperation. Together, they will forge a future of prosperity and unity. After accepting the ring, Durin and Celebrimbor collaborated on a grand project, a monument that would symbolize the enduring alliance between dwarf and elf. Inspired by the unity forged between their peoples, they envisioned the construction of a magnificent gate. Thus, amidst the wonders of Khazad-dûm and the beauty of Eregion, the Holen Gate, the great gate of Durin, began to take shape. A marvel of engineering and craftsmanship, its towering arches reaching towards the heavens like the outreached arms of old friends reunited. But the Holen Gate was more than just a symbol. It was a marvel of engineering and ingenuity, its opening governed by the ancient art of dwarven enchantment. At the command of Durin and Celebrimbor, the gate stood poised to reveal its secret. With a knowing smile, Celebrimbor approached the gate and uttered the phrase carved into the stone. "Speak, friend, and enter." Durin smiles and simply speaks, "Melon." the elvish word for friend. And as the echoes of his words faded into the air, the Holen Gate responded not only to the spoken word, but also to the power of dwarven wordsmithing. The runes etched into the stone began to glow, and its massive doors slowly swing open to reveal the entrance to Khazad-dûm. It is an ancient dwarven magic that allows even the simplest words to move the heaviest of stone. As Ori continued his story in Erebur's classroom, a curious dwarf child raised her hand, eager to understand the complex history of dwarf-elf relations, asking what happened to the friendship between the dwarves and elves, as today, only a few years after the Battle of the Five Armies, the dwarf-elf relationship is still weak. Where did it go wrong? Well, long ago, dwarf and elf did stand as allies, their bond forged by cooperation and mutual respect. But alas, the passage of time has a way of unraveling even the strongest of friendships. It was during the Second Age the harmony between dwarf and elf began to falter. Ori continues the story. A shadow fell upon Middle-earth, a shadow named Sauron, who disguised himself as Anatar, that fair emissary and lord of gifts from the west. As Anatar's true identity was revealed, King Durin felt the sting of betrayal, for the elves had unwittingly welcomed the enemy into their lands. In the realm of Eregion, the forces of darkness descended. Led by Sauron himself, the elves found themselves besieged by an overwhelming enemy. Galadriel and Celebrimbor, rulers of Lothlorien, sought passage through Khazad-dûm to aid Celebrimbor against Sauron's tyranny. King Durin, though hesitant, agreed to lend his strength to the cause. And so, the dwarves of Khazad-dûm, alongside the valiant host from Lothlorien, marched forth from the mountain stronghold to stand against Sauron and his forces. Yet their arrival was met with grim tidings. Celebrimbor had already fallen into the clutches of Sauron, his body cruelly displayed as a twisted banner of the enemy's triumph. Despite their efforts, they were too late to save him. As Sauron's forces pushed the elven army of Eregion northward, Elrond, the noble lord of Lindon, arrived to aid his kin, but found himself thwarted by the enemy's ruthless advance. With time running short, Elrond and the remaining elves of Eregion desperately needed aid to escape the clutches of the Dark Lord. In a bold and daring move, the dwarves of Khazad-dûm and the elves of Lothlorien charged into the fray, their weapons gleaming with defiance as they fought to buy precious moments for Elrond and his kin. The battle raged on. Sauron's fury was unleashed upon them, his wrath kindled by their defiance. In the face of overwhelming odds, the dwarves and elves stood undaunted, their spirits unbroken as they braced themselves for the coming onslaught, for in this dark hour of Middle-earth, the bonds of friendship and alliance would be tested like never before, and the fate of all who dwell in the land hung in the balance. As the relentless tide of Sauron's army bore down upon them, the dwarves and elves fought with unmatched valor, but despite their fierce resistance, they found themselves overwhelmed by the sheer might of the enemy. Amidst the chaos of battle, as the combined forces of dwarves and elves held the line against Sauron's onslaught, a glimmer of hope emerged. Through sheer determination and sacrifice, they achieved the victory they have hoped for. Elrond, along with the remaining elves of Eregion, managed to break free from the clutches of the enemy, securing their escape. With the knowledge that their mission had not been in vain, King Durin and the elves of Lothlorien retreated back into Khazad-dûm. Yet the weight of sorrow hung heavy upon their hearts, for they knew that their respite would be short-lived in the face of Sauron's pursuit. It was then that King Durin made the fateful decision to seal the doors of Durin. With heavy heart and a sense of duty, he ordered the gateway closed, forever sealing off Khazad-dûm from the outside world. It was a sacrifice made not in defeat, but in defiance, a last stand against the forces of evil, ensuring that the hearts of the realm remained shielded from the ever-looming threat of Sauron's malevolence. As the last echoes of battle faded, the remaining elves of Lothlorien made their journey through the eastern passages of Khazad-dûm, past the Dimril Gate, and back home to Lothlorien. As the elves of Lothlorien left Khazad-dûm, King Durin once again ordered the gateway to be closed forever, and as the shadow of Sauron spread across Middle-earth, Khazad-dûm remained locked behind the impenetrable doors, isolated from the turmoil that engulfed the land. But as the years stretched on and the world outside fell into war, the once flourishing trade routes that sustained Khazad-dûm withered away, leaving the dwarven city isolated and alone. Supplies dwindled and the stores of Khazad-dûm began to run low, prompting concern among the now new ruler of Khazad-dûm, Durin IV. Suggestions were made by Durin's advisors to reopen the gates, to seek trade once more with the outside world, but Durin, his heart hardened by years of isolation, distrust, and the threat of potential war his people might endure, refused to entertain the idea. Though it was Durin III that received the ring, Durin IV now wears it, carrying the ring and all of the grievances of his ancestors along with him, once again giving the sense that all of Durin's before him lived within. Instead, Durin decided to delve deeper into the depths of Khazad-dûm, seeking to unearth new riches and resources to sustain his people. And so, with determination in his heart and desperation gnawing at his soul, Durin ordered the expansion of Khazad-dûm's mines, delving ever deeper into the darkness, venturing into realms where no light had touched. In the depths of this newfound darkness, where the very air seemed to eat away all light and hope, the dwarves made a discovery that would change the course of Khazad-dûm's history forever. For within this realm of pure shadow and darkness, the dwarves stumbled upon a treasure beyond reckoning, a vein of mithril, the most precious of all ores. With this newfound wealth, Khazad-dûm seemed poised for a resurgence, its halls echoing once more with the sounds of industry and trade. Durin ordered both the Holen Gate and the Dimril Gate to be opened once again, so they could share the wealth with their kin across Middle-earth. The dwarves labored tirelessly to extract the precious mithril from the depths of the earth, their hearts swelling with pride at the promise of prosperity once again. But beneath the surface, whispers of concern began to circulate among the dwarves, for as the mithril flowed from the depths of Khazad-dûm, so too did the greed of Durin, for no matter how much mithril was mined, he always desired more. Such a precious metal. As the dwarves delved ever deeper, driven by the insatiable hunger for mithril that consumed their king, Durin's greed knew no bounds. He took it upon himself to oversee the mining operations, his eyes gleaming with avarice as he wielded a new axe forged of mithril. As they labored, one among them stumbled upon a hidden cave within the mine. With eager anticipation, the dwarves ventured into the cavern, their hearts soaring at the sight of a vast deposit of mithril that lay before them, its shimmering surface reflecting the flickering torchlight in a dazzling display of riches. But amidst the gleaming treasure there lingered a sense of unease, an unsettling presence that seemed to stir in the shadows, as if the darkness itself held a malevolent consciousness. Durin gazed upon the vast wealth that lay before him. His greed blinded him to the whispers of caution that echoed in the darkness, for he only saw the promise of power and riches beyond imagining. As the dwarves worked tirelessly to extract the precious mithril from the cavern, the sounds of pickaxes and shoveling of rocks and ore drowned out any other sound that may have echoed in the depths. Unbeknownst to them, the walls of the cave began to tremble and gave way to a second cavern, a cavern so dark that no light could pierce through the shadow, and with it, a heat hotter than fire fills the room. Beyond the newly created opening, something stirred, something ancient, a force awakened from its slumber by the intrusion of the dwarves. As the shadows converged upon the newly opened passage, a massive form began to take shape, a dark and sinister presence emerging from the depths, its malevolent aura palpable in the air. The shadows danced and shifted in the torchlight, twisting and wreathing as if imbued with a life of their own. Suddenly, the dwarves were jolted from their labor-induced stupor, their panic rising as they realized the peril they were in. Questions and cries of fear filled the air as they turned to their king for guidance. In that moment of crisis, Durin's resolve hardened, his gaze steely as he recognized the ancient foe that threatened his kingdom, a Balrog of Morgoth. He ordered his people to flee, to escape the depths of Khazad-dûm, and carry word to his son Nain that he now must lead their people. There was no victory to be had here, only survival. As his people urged him to flee with them, Durin stood his ground, his decision final. He would stay behind and confront the Balrog, buying precious time for his people to escape. And so, with the fate of Khazad-dûm hanging in the balance, Durin the Deathless prepared to face his greatest challenge, his courage undimmed by fear or doubt. As the miners fled in terror, the cavern became a maelstrom of fire and shadow, the flames of darkness intertwining to form a deadly barrier that sealed off the exit. But despite his valiant efforts to hold back the Balrog, Durin's strength was no match for the ferocity of the ancient demon. With a heavy heart and unwavering resolve, the king of Khazad-dûm fell in battle, his sacrifice echoing through the halls. Meanwhile, the miners, spurred on by their king's final command, raced to warn Nain of the looming danger. Under Nain's leadership, the dwarves of Khazad-dûm fought bravely against the relentless onslaught of the Balrog, but despite their best efforts, they could not stem the tide of destruction that swept through the once great kingdom. Nain dispatched emissaries to Lothlorien to ask for the aid against such a mighty foe. It has been ages since the fall of Eregion, but 100 years is a mere blink for the life of an elf. They will remember what the dwarves did for Lothlorien in their time of need. Days pass. The emissary returns, but without the elves of Lothlorien. The emissary shared only the aid the elves could offer, their wisdom and counsel. The dwarves must flee Khazad-dûm if they hope to survive and seal it forever. The elves will not fight the Balrog, despite what the dwarves did for the elves of Lothlorien. Nain was distraught and filled with both great sadness and anger, hearing that the elves would not help when they are most desperate, even though his people aided the elves in their time of need. And so, Nain ordered what people remained to leave Khazad-dûm and find refuge amongst the other dwarf kingdoms of Middle-earth. The great kingdom of Khazad-dûm fell silent, its halls haunted by the echoes of those that were slain and could not escape. Now roamed by orcs who worshipped the Balrog, the line of Durin was lost. No further dwarf would ever bear the spirit of Durin again. The dwarves named the Balrog Durin's Bane, and the Khazad-dûm was forever known as Moria, the Black Pit. As Ori concluded the recounting of Moria's history, the young dwarves gathered around him and were left with a mix of curiosity and concern. Inquisitive voices rose among the children, seeking answers about the fate of their forebears and the prospects of reclaiming Moria from the darkness that had consumed it. Ori's response was one of tempered optimism, assuring the young dwarves that a new dawn was on the horizon, led by Balin. A new expedition was being planned, a bold venture to vanquish the ancient evil that had long plagued their people. As the children prepared to depart, their minds buzzing with the thoughts of adventure and heroism, Floey, an elderly dwarf whose wisdom was revered by all, joined Ori at the doorway. In their conversation, they reflected on the lessons of history and the importance of unity and friendship in the face of adversity. They pondered what might have been if King Durin had chosen a different path, lamenting the tragedies that had befallen their people. Floey voiced a silent hope that Balin's expedition would succeed where others had failed, so long as King Durin would offer his support to their cause, ensuring that the legacy of Khazad-dûm would endure forever.